In this year's Belgian Grand Prix, the FIA officially released a statement about the new power unit regulations for Formula 1, which will get placed in 2026. This meant that for Audi, it was officially time to announce that they are entering the sport in that same year. So, is this any good for the championship, or are we just going to have a new parts manufacturer on the grid? Well, in this video, we'll go over just that. So, let's begin. First, a bit of context is necessary. Last season, the FIA made it mandatory to freeze engine development for 5 years. This was made so the competition would be fairer and teams wouldn't have had to exceed the cost cap in order to keep up with the engine R&D. This meant that new engine regulations that were speculated to come out in the next few years obviously had to come out in 2026. What else would the FIA do? Make engine development possible again on engines used since 2014? That would be kinda dumb. So, they decided that 2026 would be the next big event in terms of engine development. The new regulations are pretty strict on the topic of emissions since Formula 1 plans on becoming carbon neutral by 2030, and modifying the car is one way to start reaching that goal. The new rules include the same V6 1.6 litre engines we're used to seeing nowadays, but there is going to be much more electronical components. The MGU-K, the kinetic energy recovery system, is now getting more powerful, while the ERS, the energy recovery system, is getting more efficient, going from 120 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. Which is exactly like having the electrical part of the car going from 160 horsepower to 470 horsepower. Sadly for the drivers, the MGU-H will be removed, meaning that turbo lag is coming back for them. The MGU-H currently has a heavy role in how cars perform and how drivers drive. These generators are plugged into the turbocharger, not only harvesting energy when it's at the right speed, which is 9,000 RPM, but also rotating the turbo, so that even when the driver's not accelerating, it's still full of gas and there's pretty much zero lag. So it also functions as an electric motor. This means that with no technology keeping the turbo spinning, drivers are going to get lag from when they press the throttle to when the car actually accelerates because of the time needed for the turbo to fill up with gas and make the engine spin faster. Most importantly, the biggest change there is going to be in 2026 is the fact that all the teams will be forced to use 100% sustainable fuels, and a new limit will be set on how much fuel one's car can consume during a race, going from 110 kilograms maximum to 80 kilograms maximum. But why does Volkswagen enter Formula 1 with Audi and possibly with Porsche now? Well, we all know how Volkswagen is mainly a car company and how it plans to remain so in the foreseeable future. The thing is that not a lot of the technologies used in Formula 1 nowadays are used or usable in road cars. A big example of this is the MGU-H, the component that's being removed with the new regulation changes. It is simply just not worth it to put that kind of technology in a daily driver, as that would only make the risk of something failing in the car greater. Furthermore, it wouldn't even be useful, since everyday drivers don't need that kind of fast response from the car. Now that the sport is officially becoming simpler, outside teams are more likely to join the championship, in hopes of being profitable and winning. Again, further making this argument strong is the fact that the Volkswagen produces hybrid and electric cars too, so they will surely be able to develop new technologies in their road cars which they'll be able to use on an F1 car. Audi has signed a deal with Formula 1 to enter the sport as an engine supplier in 2026 as soon as the FIA releases the new rulebook for that year. But it wasn't really a surprise since rumours had been going around in the paddock for weeks. What was weird with the announcement is the fact that even though the German manufacturer was only entering as an engine supplier, in the press conference they also presented a real-life mock-up of how their car would look like. As you probably already know, engine suppliers don't necessarily have a car like they all do now. So either it was just a marketing stunt to have a flashy image associated with them entering the sport, or something fishier was going on behind the curtains. The second option was the right one. In fact, right at that time, the partnership between Sauber and Alfa Romeo had gotten a new set end, which was 2023. It was clear that Sauber would have kept racing, but probably just not under the name of the Italian car manufacturer, and that's where Audi slipped in. Just the other day, on the 26th of October, Audi announced it will join Formula 1 as a competitor and not just as an engine supplier. The brand will be associated with Sauber, and the roles will be split among the two. Audi will produce the power unit, while Sauber manages pretty much anything else, from chassis design to the actual racing. Their new car will be tried out on track in 2025, and fans already have their hopes set for the drivers, and you need to give them credit for those. After all, it would be amazing to see Sebastian Vettel, a German driver, race for Audi, a German team in their opening seasons, just like Michael Schumacher did in 2010 with Mercedes, doing a not-so-great return but still managing a pole position in Monaco 2012. Copying Alpine's idea, Audi could even think of making the whole driver lineup German, adding in Mick Schumacher for what would be possibly one of the best driver combos in all of F1 history, not in terms of pure performance, but also in terms of how the two relate to each other and how the competitions could go. If they want to be race winning from their first race, they'll need to both hire expert drivers willing to race for them and invest a lot of money into developing the car, as Sauber isn't currently one of the top teams of the sport, struggling for points in every race. This means a lot of money will be necessary to enter the sport competitively, but that shouldn't really be a big problem for the world's biggest car manufacturer, and it's still nothing compared to what they would have had to pay to enter the sport as a new standalone team. Porsche was also rumoured to be just about to enter the F1 scene, but unfortunately the deal that they tried to do with Red Bull failed, meaning Volkswagen, which owns Porsche too, will need to find a new way to fund the rivalry between one of its teams and the other one. But the trademark F1 Nally, or finally, was registered, so maybe the chances of seeing a completely new team in the championship are not zero. One random guy on the internet also bought the domain f1nally.com in hopes of getting it sold to Porsche. So good luck to him on getting returns on that investment. So what do you think? Is Audi going to be competitive from the very beginning? Will Porsche enter F1 eventually? Let us know with a comment below and don't forget to subscribe, because at 10,000 subscribers, we're going to convince Volkswagen to make 20 new teams since the company is worth $77 billion. No, not really, but you should subscribe anyway.